Welcome to Moonlight Madness, and today we're doing the sign of air. And some of you air signs are very similar to water. Just because you're air doesn't mean you don't have deep emotions. You know, a lot of air signs are written off as being not very emotional, and they live on a cerebral level. They like to talk about politics and science and topics of interest, but they're not really going to talk to you about deep emotional things unless you've got water strongly placed in your chart, which I do. So I'm doing all this for air today, but you've come up as a water sign. It's the first card I've pulled. The deck I'm using is the Lover's Path Tarot by Chris Walderher. And the other one I got is gifted to me, Work Your Light by Oracle Cards by Rebecca Campbell, which is really cool. So the first card I pulled was Queen of Cups. Now, Queen of Cups is an emotional card. Normally it's what would be for a water sign, like a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces card. They are ruled by the moon and the moon cycles, and they tend to go very within. They like to hibernate in order to heal. So if you've recently gone through a period of no action, non-physical contact with people because you may have been unwell, you may have had to recuperate and heal from an illness. And that's what it's saying, because you've got the Four of Swords that's crossing your path, which is a need to sleep, a need to rest. Rest your mind, your body, your soul, because you were healing from something that you maybe recently taken on board. If you're trying to look after lots of people's mental health, and it's not your job, because you're not a trained counsellor, then you'll sometimes pull or take upon their burdens because you're trying to help them, but in the meanwhile, you're being overwhelmed by that, so you get sick because you can't put out everyone's fire. I've got the red candle today for love, to draw love into me. So maybe you have to do some self-love. In the past, you were very analytical, all about the mind, all about being very focused on achieving things on a level of intelligence, on a level of study, intense study. Ace of Swords can also represent a piercing moment that's happened to you. Maybe you got a tattoo at a certain young age, because that represents a needle, or an arrow that has to, not a poison arrow, but an arrow that has to put ink to make an outline. Someone may have imprinted on you as a child that you didn't realise imprinted on you, and maybe really affected you your entire life, your trajectory. So you wanted to mark it with a symbol. Maybe it was a lack of a person in your life. The lack of that person, you wanted to honour them in a way that showed them that you still cared about them, but you couldn't be with them for some reason, maybe family arguments. That's what people get tattoos for. They're usually symbolic of something. In the recent past, you've been involved with a Prince of Arrow, which is air sign. Libra, Aquarian, Gemini. They are to the point. They will come and act on your behalf. They will always look out for you. They'll be very logical about how they look at the world. They're very strategic. They could be a lawyer. They could be a medical officer. Something in the law enforcement was around you, maybe investigating you to see if you were who you were, said you were, and weren't a threat to anyone in society, maybe, because you post things about what your abilities are. But they were there to look out for you. They may fly where angels fear to tread. They may be the sort of people that are risk takers. They can't see the forest from the trees because they're too busy doing another exciting trip, down a ski slope or something like that, where they're moving fast. They move very quickly. They may have ADHD as well. It's saying that they've got a short attention span, and they like to go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So they get bored very quickly, and unfortunately with people like that, they don't marry very young because they're still too busy trying to figure out what it is that's going to hold and capture their attention for longer than 5 minutes. So they go on to the next thing, next thing, the next thing. They may have several jobs, several prospects, several types of outlets for their intense ADHD, where they have to keep busy all the time in order to go on to the next thing, in order to achieve something else. They're all about achieving. They may be quite wealthy, because we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So in 1 year's time, you may have gotten to a certain level of wealth. In 1 calendar year, your life is going to change dramatically. You may get a car. You may decide to go overseas. It may be cyclic in nature. You may find a lump of gold, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It just says a lump sum is coming for you. Some fortune is coming to you. Maybe it's through a marriage. Okay, then we've got a three of staves. This is to do with the three of wands. It talks about having three opportunities, or call it. Whoops, sorry about that. Here. Three opportunities. Got that in focus. Three opportunities, three things, three ships coming in. Maybe you've sent out some resumes to get a job, and you've got three opportunities that are going to come in onto your shore, onto your horizon. So it's saying here, waiting, successful enterprises, planning, an enterprise about to culminate in success, the ability to transform goals into realistic action, focused activity. Yes, you're waiting on something to take off. So with the citron, I put on top of the Wheel of Fortune, citron represents, attracts wealth. I have the carnelian, because that's a fire, it represents creativity. So through your creativity, well, your ship's coming on your horizon. You may have three jobs on the pipeline, three offers for work that you're being booked for something big. This is like a ticker-tape parade. The next card I call is my Six of Wands. Talks about, like for me, it would be the ticker-tape parade we had for the Knights when they came home in the 1997 World Cup. They won against Sydney place. They went to Sydney and played the game down there, and they won. And there was a huge outpouring on the streets of Newcastle, because we're like the poor man's Orange. We're like the poor cousin of Sydney. But our little person, Newcastle's a little town. Well, it's quite a big. It's got a lot of people that live here. Newcastle is known as the sixth biggest city in Australia. So we are quite big now. But back then we were, from behind. We were like from the country. I used to live in Sydney, and I used to go home on the weekends. And they go, "Oh, you're going home to the country?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? There's no tractors or farm, or chickens or wild running animals in Newcastle. I don't know what you mean. You got that idea. The Hunter Valley would be considered the farm, the country, as in Maitland, but Newcastle's not. It's the city." And they're like, "Oh," they just couldn't comprehend that Newcastle was bigger than what it was. Now, who you've got around you is the Princess of Arrows. This is someone who is a Libra, Aquarian, younger than you, or a Gemini. And I'm guessing, I'm feeling it's heavily Aquarian energy. I've got Aquarius in my chart. I'm an Aquarian, but I've got heavy water placement. So there's an Aquarian around you that admires you, that likes your way of thinking, and they may be quite emotional too. They just don't show it. They may express it through music or through drawing, where they get to express their emotions, but they may live in their head. They may be bored quickly, like I said, this is the Aquarian nature, but they may express their emotions, their deep-seated emotions, through poetry, through songwriting, through writing songs, through speaking. They could be a public speaker on stage, like a platform. They might do their own platform on a website, like I do. They're around you. They think a lot of you. Then you've got here the Seven of Arrows, but you may be on guard to them because you don't know exactly what they want from you. You may think they just want a free reading, or I don't know, the Tats Lotto numbers for next week, or which horse is going to win because you've got this ability. You might think that they want to use your ability for their own gain, but in fact they don't. They actually admire what you do, and they want to get to know you better because they find you absolutely fascinating, is what I get. They are fully absorbed in what you do. They're so blown away by it. They want to get to know you because they don't know how they're going to entertain you. They might think you get bored of them. Six of Coins, because you have the ability to see into the future, and you would know if they're going to play up on you or not because you would see it. So there's that problem. If they're a bit of a flirt, which I'm guessing they are, they may fall in love and whisper sweet nothings into someone's ear and then get bored and move on to someone else. So you're going to know when that happens. Their lifestyle might not suit yours because you are more solid than they are emotionally. Six of Coins is generosity, helping others, charity, fortune, appreciation, trusting in the prosperity of the universe, helping others who are less fortunate. You may like to volunteer your services to other people. You may do this for free because you don't know how to get paid for it, because you don't know how to set up that button, because you don't know how to build a website. This is where I'm at. I'm in the process of getting someone to help me because it's growing a bit bigger than what I anticipated. It started out as just a vlog. I used to post it, Moonlight Madness, up on my page, and I would write down each card and what it meant from the book. and people started to follow it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should start filming it like other people do on YouTube. You know, they do their own platform, and so then I bought a laptop and started filming it. I don't have audio equipment, I don't have lighting equipment, which just reminds me I didn't turn the light on. But you know, maybe I need to upgrade and invest into it a little bit more in order to make money. The old saying is that you have to put money in order to make money. So maybe that's what I have to do. I have to upgrade or get some help and some help from someone that can do and build websites. That's what I'm getting. So the next stick I bought, I'm using is the Work Your Life Oracle. It's a little bit different. I break this up into 5 different piles. So the first thing we're going to go and do is the activation or the inquiry deck. So I've got this deck. I've segmented it into different decks, and I'm going to shuffle, which I've just started shuffling. Oh, and the first card that fell out is Trust Your Path. So I'll read from this book, Trust Your Path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Well, that's interesting. So you may want to do something different with your life. You may be called to do a different type of occupation. You may be looking at retiring from your present occupation because it's interfering with your love life. Maybe you can't meet anyone because you're too busy. You're too busy doing your job that you don't have time for a life. So it says you may want to look at that now. So Trust Your Path is 54. Alright. The universe is conspiring. Keep facing your true north. Your job is not to pave the path, but to simply keep facing your true north and take one step after another. If you do this, you can't go wrong. Sorry, it's noisy out there. I'm near a highway. The universe is conspiring. Don't waver or doubt. Just use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, you will light up the world without even trying. Most people don't follow the highest call of their soul because they are waiting to see the end destination before they take their first step. You may want to know what's going to happen if you do go left instead of right, or right instead of left. And you're scared that you're going to have a misstep. But nothing that you ever do in life should be regretted. Because sometimes you have to do something outlandish because the world is so crazy right now. I mean, people are living with people because they can't afford their rent, they can't afford to pay their bills. The amount of rent they have to pay, and even the cost of living's gone through the roof to the point where people can't even afford to eat, even meat, or even buy meat. So it's becoming that bad that people have to find ways to make ends meet. You may have to try and find a way to make ends meet, but still is able to support you mentally, physically, and emotionally, but not burn yourself out over it. So it says here, if you take one step each day, within a year you will have taken 365 steps in your dedicated direction. If you want to write a book, write a page every day. If you want to change careers, do one thing every day in dedication to that. Before you know it, in just a year from now, you'll turn back and look in awe at how far you've journeyed. Keep moving and opening yourself up to a whole new level of support and receiving. Things are not going to work out the way you were planning, but if you have a little faith, keep showing up, they will work out better than you could possibly imagine. Don't micromanage the universe. Trust your path and let your soul lead the way. So sometimes you just have to dive in. I explained this to my son the other day. I said, I moved within a month of finishing beauty therapy course. I went up on a holiday to go visit their dad, who I'm no longer with. I haven't been with him for a very long time. Walked into a shop, had an interview on the spot, got the job, and then moved. And then I had to work myself backwards from what I did because it was just a left field decision. I wanted to change. I asked the kids if they wanted to change. They said they did. They wanted to be closer to their dad so that they would have to not wait 6 months to see him because he couldn't afford to get down. I couldn't get up there because it cost money to go to and from. So we decided to be geographically in the same state because it made sense because the kids could see both of us and it was an equal partnership. They could have equal time with both sets of parents, both sets of grandparents. That was the clause I signed when we did a consent order. So I would get on a plane every 8 weeks and come down and get my kids to see their grandmother, which was in the consent orders, and their extended family, because that's what I signed, and that was in the best interest of the children. So you can make these rash decisions and then recover from them later and go, oh well, that was a bit rash, but hey, look where I am now. Look at all these things I'm achieving because I did this rash decision that I went out on a limb that was not something I planned on doing. I wanted to take small steps and then think about it. But sometimes you have to jump in order to learn the lesson. We're here to learn lessons. So that's what your inquiry card deck is. This is your activation. Let me see. Hang on. This is, because I'm still new to this is your action card. Because it's the action. No, sorry, activation. This is your activation. You've got the awakening. Maybe you've had a recent download of what's going on in your life that you didn't realise, that you've been told a new way of being, energetic upgrades. You may have been researching on how to map your life out to fit your lifestyle, because maybe your lifestyle doesn't suit your job. You may have to do a job that suits your lifestyle, or the other way around. Your lifestyle has to suit the job. And maybe that's where you're having issues. So the awakening is 90. Maybe you're a person that doesn't want to do a job that's from 9 to 5. You want to do something that's like outside hours and do something that's from home. So you're looking at ways to do a job that will fit into your lifestyle, so you can sleep in and you don't have to, struggle to get from A to B, because it may be a travel involved to get, because you've got the fortune card. That means you have to travel to where your job is to get paid. And that could take sleep away and, preparation, and you're half asleep when you're driving, so therefore you're tired before you even get there. I travelled on 2 trains and a bus to get to a job I used to do back in the day when I worked in Sydney. So I get, it's all about the lack of sleep, and when you get there you're exhausted before you even start the job. You are going through a period of awakening. Things are changing within you, and at many levels you are starting to remember ancient truths and discovering more and more about who you are and why you're incarnated. You may find that you're experiencing a past life flashback, seeing the invisible thread that is woven through all of life, or even feeling Kundalini Shakti rise through your body from the base of your spine. The most important thing for this time is not to overthink it and to stay grounded. Share your experiences with like-souled people while you consciously integrate them. Journal, write down your dreams and pay attention to your dreams. You are remembering, and your soul gifts are emerging. During this time of transition and awakening, you may be called to devote yourself to being of service through ideas, truths, concepts, books, and creations waiting to be birthed into the world. Stay open to receiving them. Pulling this card may be a sign that you are here to birth one of these creations into the world. Or perhaps you're being called to make a shift in your life in order to be of service. Don't think too much about it. Instead, repeat the following. Work your light activation. So they're going to download to you in your sleep what your next step is. You'll be told. I get astral dreams all the time. My sleep is so busy, I don't actually get to sleep because I'm actually watching a movie. They call it, there's a word for it, and it's a Navy word. Distant reckoning? No. Distant screening, where you're actually watching, spies used to be into this. Remote viewing, that's the word. Remote viewing. And it is for people that are psychic mediums, and I do know that there used to be a secret service in the Air Force, Navy, or Army. They employed these people called remote viewers that were employed to spy, to know what was going to happen next in the world, so that we were aware, long before we were aware. And those people used to live on an old Hollywood lot, or a dilapidated building in Area 51, and these people were actually paid, like the X-Files, right, to do this remote viewing. So we had some idea what was going to happen next, so we could pre-plan and not be taken by surprise. That's a real institution. It's a real thing exists, and I do know Marilyn Monroe actually had shares in companies related to remote viewing and extraterrestrial activity. She did a lot of reading. She's a very smart lady, and she believed in the afterlife. She had a clause that if she was to die, she was wanting to be embalmed, that's the word, so that she could return to her body in future and come back to life, because she believed in the afterlife. And she was embalmed. It was not a very known common practice back in the 50s, 60s when she died, but she invested in it. So it's like, is it cryotology? Where you bring people back to life because they've been frozen. I know Michael Jackson was put into a crypt. He wanted to be frozen and brought back to life once they knew how to cure what he died from. Yeah, it's a real science. And people think you're crazy, but the richer you are, you'll find the richer people are, the more out there they are, because they have access to it, because they've got money to do it in a temple. you need to clean your temple, as in your whole body, mind and soul needs a reboot. So inner temple is return to the portal of your heart. This is the action card you have to take. Inner temple is 70, and it's telling you you've been called to be a devoted student and tune into your heart. To incorporate true devotion into your life, you could be being called to develop a regular meditation, journaling, chanting, or to show up to your soul with rhythm. To develop a daily practice where you fill up your well and spend time with your soul. All of the answers to all of your questions that you seek are waiting for you in the portal of your heart, but you cannot hear them unless you carve out time each day to listen. Your soul is yearning for a deeper relationship with you, and so the more time you spend with it and show up to it, the more clearly it will guide you. We are here to grow as souls. Earth is one big playground for the soul to learn, and you are being called to go deeper in your soul growth or to increase your devotion by being a student of a lineage or a spiritual teacher. Yeah, you're asked to go and ask another soul tribe, our soul tribe on this YouTube channel, speak to another spiritual medium in order to get clarity on how to control what you do. If you are already a committed student, then you are being commended for your devotion. Your guides want you to know how proud of you they are, and that the time you spend in devotion is priceless. If you are questioning your career or life path, your guides want you to turn your focus towards devotion and this prayer. Please use me in a way that delights my mind, body and soul. May my life be one big moving prayer. So you don't even have to pray. Praying is a form of calling in, or law of attraction, like attracts like. Prayer or journal, you're writing down what you dream, what you see, what you wish for your life, and that attracts what you want to come into your life. And this cards here are for, transmission cards. Alright, so your soul tribe that you belong to. So where you originate, where your soul came from. And you can have many lifetimes. You can reincarnate many lifetimes. So you may have flashbacks of many lifetimes in this one. We've got, you are harnessing the Akasha records, which is like Alexandria in Egypt. Alexandria, they burnt it to the ground. That was the tower. In the tarot cards, the tower would represent the Akashic records, because the tower was built, the Alexandria building is in, I think, the middle of Egypt. You may have Egyptian lineage. They decided, the people that were religious, decided that no one in the world should know more than God. So the humans shouldn't have access to all that has been gone before and all that will come about. The Akashic records is dipping into the future and bringing that knowledge back into the present. That's the Akashic records. Your guidance is divinely guided. So I'm going to pull a card for that, because that's very interesting. I pulled that. I was talking to a friend of mine, she's a soul, psychic medium, and Robin, and she told me that the Akashic records are real. 112, and that I'm dipping into the Akashic records, and that's why it's so scary for me, because I can see both what's past and what is coming. Not many people have that knowledge. Alright, Akashic. Yep. Your guidance is divinely guided. Akashic exists in the 5th dimension. So I'm dipping in and out of the 5th D, bringing the knowledge from the 5th D to the 3D. And the Library of Souls. All soul contracts, history, gifts, lessons and more exist here. We have access to this information of the past, present and future, and can tap into it at any time. While we have free will, there are also points on the timeline of our lives that are predestined or pre-planned. Soul contracts or agreements that were made before incarnating. It could be a company you chose to work for, a relationship you plan to have, or a person you agreed to mentor or help. Whatever it is, know that it is divinely guided and it will not bypass you. If you are waiting for a sign to proceed, this card is it. You are living out an important part of your soul's journey, and you are exactly where you need to be. This is very exciting indeed. It is time to call in the support of your helpers, both in the physical realm and the spirit world, to trust the signs coming, to take note of your dreams, write, journal them, to notice any feelings or visions that you receive, for you are tapping into the wisdom of the Akasha, and you are being given the go-ahead to proceed. Thank you very much. And then we've got the last deck, which is to do with confirmation of, should you pursue a relationship with this person that's around you that's an air sign. Oh, yes, it's saying yes. pursue this relationship. It's going to be a lesson. If it doesn't last forever, that's okay, because it was unclear. I got a no and then I got a yes. I think your soul needs to go down this twisted path. It is twisted because if you're with someone that's a psychic medium, it's not going to be a very easy journey. It's going to be a bumpy ride. You can ask my children. They're scared about what I see for them because they know I see things that happen for them. If you're scared about doing and dipping your toe into a new job, it's saying go for it, because it's going to be a journey of your soul. You were meant to do this new job. You've come a certain way, a certain very far in your journey, but now it's time to take a risk on something new that will be very ludicrous, very financially rewarding if you go and take this new job that you're looking at. And there's three of them that are going to present themselves to you. So the one that sings to your soul, your heart space, take that one. If you emotionally feel drawn to that job, that person, that place of work, then your job is to go there and help people that need your help through service, through volunteer work. Maybe you decide to do some voluntary work at a soup shop, you know, where they give you free soup. There's one in Newcastle called the Soul Cafe, and you go there and you get free soup. And the people that make it are volunteers, and they're trying to help out the people that are homeless and needy. Maybe your mission is to help people that are homeless. You're going to try and find ways for them to feed themselves, or find jobs that balance and match their attributes. If they are psychic and they can't find work because they have this ability that interferes with any type of job they do because they're seeing things, right? So your job is to find a job that suits what you do. Your lifestyle is you're seeing future events. If you want to become a full-time psychic medium, go and do that. That's what I'm working on now. I'm working on doing this for a job, so I don't have to leave my house. I don't have to deal with seeing spirits that have already passed over or things that are going to happen for me in the future. I get bombarded with things daily. From the minute I step out of my room into the world, I'm seeing future events. When I go and my head hits the pillow, I'm seeing future events. It gets to the point where I'm sleepwalking because I'm so worried about a future event. I was looking for my son in a vision, and it was so real. I got up and drew the vision I had where he was staying at. I hadn't seen the building, didn't know where he stayed. He was in Melbourne. I was so worried about that plane dropping out of the sky that I went looking for him in my sleep, to the point where I was sleepwalking and I fell over and injured my hand, just bruised, because I had to break my fall because I was so looking for him. This, like, physically, mentally and emotionally, I was unnerved. I was so worried. I prayed for him. I did spells on him. I did spells on the plane to make sure he came back safe. And I did an insomnia spell for him as well, because ADHD, I'm ADHD as well. We have so much energy that our brains are very, very busy. So even when we're sleeping, we're getting downloads. A lot of ADHD kids, and I'm one of those kids, would have nightmares from a very early age. Night terrors, I used to call them. I used to kill the monsters under my kids' beds. I used to go with a flashlight. I'd make sure they had a flashlight in their room. If they woke up scared, they had a flashlight to go to the toilet, if they were scared of the dark, if they thought there was a monster under their bed. And I used to tell them, I've killed the monsters for you, because I did a prayer. My two boys have loved flashlights ever since those early days when they had nightmares and panic attacks. And I used to read them Harry Potter before they went to bed. That's not a scary book. It's a nice book. It's a magical fantasy and things like that. My son used to love hearing Harry Potter. And he got this beautiful tattoo on his leg of Harry Potter's castle because he just loved that book so much. That was our thing we did together. So, I just think it's funny. We don't realise what we feed our children without even us knowing. We're teaching them how to be. I had a tattoo on my ankle since I was 18. And then I got the other one when I was 21. And I did it by myself, and it was symbolic. And I put a butterfly, but the colours I used was purple and black because I knew they were my dad's favourite colours. So that was symbolic to me. And that the butterfly is free, and it's transformation. And I believe butterflies usually are associated with the Aquarian. Because see the butterflies? February is the season of the monarch butterfly that flies and multiplies. That's the season they procreate. they produce more caterpillars and then they become butterflies. And it's that transformational journey from being one form to another form that you're trying to grow into your own skin. It's like going from being a child to an adult. At 18, you're supposedly an adult. I don't believe that. It's the biggest pretend. And then when you become into your 20s, you're now becoming an adult. I reckon in your 20s, late 20s, are you an adult? My son is going into that phase of his life now. So it's transformation from one form to another form, from the solid into the physical, from the 5D into the 3D. It's all about transformation of energy. Energy is all around us. And today I got given that little sign by a lady that lives in my building. I've been really sick. Like I said, I've been sleepwalking because I was hallucinating because I was taking all these meds because I had glandular fever and I was just I was a mess. And I was on all this drugs and I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I was sweating, I was really sick. And she came up, knocked on my door and said, oh, hang on a minute, I've got to have a shower and I'll come down to you. So then I said, oh, look, I feel human, I've had a shower now. I got up and she had made me this sago, or we call it tapioca. And it's weird because that was my grandmother's thing that she used to make for me every Saturday when I used to go on the bus to visit her, because we used to live with her when I was a little girl. And then I went out to see her and she would bake this beautiful tapioca, and that was my favourite food in the world, and that was her thing. That was our special relationship. It's like Nana was looking after me from heaven. My mum apparently was so worried about me because I was so sick. I nearly burnt the house down. I'd left the stove on and I'd fallen asleep because I was so exhausted. I was trying to cook some chicken for myself, and then the smoke alarm went off and all my people in the building came to check on me, and thank God woke me up. But it's like she knew, and she was trying to send me a message today to say, I know you're well now, here's some tapioca. Of all people, my neighbour downstairs made me tapioca. It's something that is so specific to my Nana and me and our connection that I just think she's trying to work through other people. They say that spirit works through others in order to guide us if they're worried about you or they see that you're struggling. My Nana's been trying to get through to me. She's a fire sign, so that's why I've got the red candle there. That's in honour of her. I'm honouring my Nana today to say thank you, Nana, for making me that beautiful tapioca. And I know you're around me, and I think about you every day, and I miss you. And I think it's been 7 months, but it feels only like yesterday. My whole family is grieving. They're all still in shock. She passed away suddenly, and I never got to say goodbye. So I was working full time, and I couldn't get up there because I kept getting COVID symptoms at work, and I didn't want to go up and make her sick, and then she died of COVID anyway. And I felt bad. I didn't get to just kiss her goodbye. I think she knows I feel guilty. The day I was supposed to go up to see her, I had slippers for her, beautiful slippers from Peter Alexander, and a beautiful night dress because I wanted her to feel beautiful, because she was stuck in this facility that I didn't want to see her in, and I wanted her to feel beautiful in the best pyjamas I could find for her. And I didn't get to give them to her. I was really sad, but yeah. At least I got to see Grandad. He nearly died recently as well. So I've had a lot of sadness and worry and grief around me. And grieving takes its toll when you miss someone so much. You start looking for them in the streets. I can remember when COVID happened and I couldn't see my kids and I couldn't see any of my family because we had a family breakdown. And I was seeing him in the street. I would imagine him walking around the corner. I'd go to reach out and go, Chris. It wasn't Chris. It was my grief that I was seeing things. Apparently grief does that. When a widow loses her husband or partner, they imagine they see them, but they don't. It's because they miss them so much. And I think a lot of people in the world are grieving the losses of their loved ones because of COVID. It was a real rude awakening and a real wake-up call about what's important and what's not. So that's all the messages I have for you. I hope we never go through something like that ever again. We've had it twice now, twice in 2 different centuries, and the same place it came from. It came from the same place, from Wuhan. We don't want that again. I hope that never happens again. I saw it, and I didn't mean to see it, but I nearly died, and I did see COVID happen. And I saw the first COVID when the little kids were walking around with baseball bats trying to protect themselves against the people in the Philippines civil war. I think it was Philippines with America, and they were fighting for their lives because there was a bloodshed that happened in Wuhan back then, and I saw that, and I saw COVID. I saw all of that, but it was the first COVID I saw, not the second COVID, but it repeated, didn't it? They say history repeats itself, but I don't know why, because why couldn't we have learnt that lesson in the beginning and not turned against each other in the beginning? We're all human. We may have different coloured skin, different belief systems, different practices, but we're human beings, and we're meant to look after one another. I can't believe we've got this war going on over in Palestine and Gaza Strip. I worry about those people. I had a vision of that back in 2021, 2022, and all I could see was this river of blood running through these narrow streets because, you know, they're a very poor country, and all I saw was these people, dead bodies everywhere, and I woke up so upset. I drew it. I've got a visual arts diary. I drew it because I was so worried about where in the world was this going to happen, and then it happened. I'm usually around 2 to 3 years out. Rarely I'm 20 years out. Sometimes I'm 20 years in front of what I see will happen. But I don't see it as a gift. I see it as a download. I think my spirit guides keep telling me what's going to happen, and if I can somehow help people with what I see, excellent. If I can warn the big people that make these decisions, like our leaders, like Elon Musk and the Prince of Dubai that I'm friends with on Facebook, if I can at least make a difference by warning them what I see, then I'm hoping they can help. Pre-armed is forearmed, is forewarned is forearmed, and I want to arm our world with a way to protect itself with what I see, because I want to prevent these atrocities from happening over the world. I remember the day that the Chinese left Australia and they all went home because everyone had a hate campaign against them. I watched these young girls that were too scared to leave their room because of all the hatred that was thrown their way. And I was upset about that, and I was in Centrelink lining up to go to Centrelink. This guy said, "Oh, the Asians, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Don't you talk to me about that. I've got two very frightened young girls scared in their rooms because of your hatred and your judgment." And he just didn't know what to do with it. I said, "She's a young girl. She's 18. She's scared for her life. She's scared of being stoned or, I don't know, shot. She doesn't know what to expect. I'm out here getting food for her because she's scared to go to the shops." And he really bit his tongue, and then he stopped. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think of it like that." I said, "Well, you need to think of it like that." I stand up for the underdog. I always have, and I always will. And that's what I love about Aquarians. We stand up for the underdog. We will always stand up for the others that can't stand up for themselves. And that's the message I have for you today. And I know that's a long one, but I really think someone out there needs to hear this. You stand up for the people that can't look after themselves.